We're diving into two writers who gave us the language to talk about that very specific, very modern kind of dread. We're talking about the worlds created by Franz Kafka and Jean-Paul Sartre.
You know the feeling, right? Like you're just a cog in a massive, impersonal machine. You're trying to follow the rules, but nobody can even tell you what the rules are. It's that sense of complete powerlessness.
Or how about this one? That feeling of being constantly watched, judged. You start to see yourself only through the eyes of others, and it feels like you're trapped in their perception of you.
Well, these aren't new anxieties. In fact, Kafka and Sartre basically built their entire literary legacies on exploring them. They each painted a picture of a modern hell. For one, it was a bureaucratic maze. For the other, it was a room with no mirrors. So let's jump in. First up, we have Franz Kafka and his absolute masterpiece of anxiety, The Trial. This is all about the horror of not knowing what's coming next.
So, who was this guy, Kafka? Well, his life was almost as strange as his stories. He wrote these bizarre, surreal tales of alienation. And the craziest part? He died at just 41, totally convinced he was a failure. He literally told his best friend to burn all his unpublished novels. Thank goodness his friend didn't listen, because that's how we got works like The Trial.
All right, let's get into the plot of The Trial. It starts with one of the most unsettling opening scenes in all of literature. A man is arrested, but he hasn't done anything wrong.
Just imagine this. A guy named Joseph K. wakes up one morning and some men are in his apartment telling him he's under arrest. For what? They won't say. He then gets dragged into this nightmarish legal system where the court is hidden away in grimy attics. He tries to defend himself, but the whole process is completely nonsensical. Then, a year later, on his 31st birthday, two men show up and execute him. At one point, the system offers Joseph K. two so-called choices to resolve his case, and I'm using air quotes here. One is an apparent acquittal, which means he's free, for now, but they could just decide to rearrest him at any random moment. The other option is protraction, which just means they'll drag his case out forever. You see, neither is an escape. It's just the illusion of one.
In the end, he's taken to a quarry and stabbed in the heart, and his final words are, "like a dog." It's just his brutal final statement on how the system has completely stripped him of his humanity, leaving him feeling like nothing more than an animal being put down.
Okay, so that's Kafka's hell, being crushed by an unknowable, impersonal system. Now let's pivot to our second writer, Jean-Paul Sartre, who imagined a totally different kind of hell. For him, the real horror is the hell of being seen.
Sartre was a titan of philosophy, the leading voice of existentialism. His whole deal was this idea that existence precedes essence. What does that even mean? Well, basically, he argued we aren't born with a fixed purpose. We just exist. And then it's up to us to define who we are through our actions. Like he said, to be is to do. You are what you do. Simple as that.
And Sartre puts this exact idea to the test in his most famous play, No Exit. He imagines a version of hell with no fire, no demons, just three people in a locked room. So, inside this room, we have three newly dead characters. There's Garcin, a coward who was cruel to his wife. There's Inez, who maliciously destroyed a marriage. And there's Estelle, who killed her own baby. What's interesting is how they died. It has nothing to do with the real sins that landed them in hell.
Now, think about this setup. They are trapped in this one room. Forever. But there are no torture racks or anything. Instead, there are no mirrors to see yourself in, no windows to look out of, and you can never, ever sleep. All you have is each other.
At first, they're just confused. They're trying to figure out what they have in common. And then, the awful truth slowly starts to dawn on them. They weren't put together randomly. They were chosen. Each one is the perfect instrument of torture for the other two.
And then, right in the middle of their psychological torment, something incredible happens. The door to the room just swings wide open. Their escape is right there. Freedom. They can just walk out. But nobody moves. Not a single one of them leaves. And this is Sartre's point, right here. They are so consumed with how the others see them, Garcin desperately needs Inez to not think he's a coward, that they choose to stay in their prison. Their actions define them, and their action is to stay. And this all leads to that iconic and often misunderstood line from the play, "Hell is other people." He doesn't just mean that other people are annoying. For Sartre, hell is the constant, inescapable gaze of another person. It's a gaze that judges you, defines you, and freezes you into an object,
taking away your freedom to define yourself.
So, there we have it. Two chilling visions of modern hell. Are we trapped in Kafka's maze, this anonymous, absurd system? Or are we trapped in front of Sartre's mirror, defined forever by how other people see us?
Let's really break it down. Kafka's hell, the maze, is an external one. It's the individual getting crushed by a giant system that doesn't care about them. But Sartre's hell, the mirror, is internal. It's social. It's about how our very sense of self is created and, well, imprisoned by the people around us. One is the horror of being unknowable. The other is the horror of being known all too well.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. When you think about those moments of modern dread in your own life, which one feels more real? Is it the crushing weight of a system you can't fight, or is it the paralyzing judgment of the people you're stuck with? The maze or the mirror?